Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tori and today we are doing another 2025 bullet journal setup, this time for my yearly collections bujo. I am working with Ohuhu for this video. This video is kindly sponsored by them. They sent me some dual tip dot markers and the new paper-friendly brush markers as well that I will be using in this setup. So here, this is the dot pens. I'm just showing you what the two tips look like on that. And then I also swatched this set out. So these are all the colors that are included in the set that I received. I think it's the Kumimi or something like that. Um, Lots of fun colors. So I picked out 4 potential colors that I might want to use in my setup today. And these are the pupae water markers. These are supposed to be paper friendly. And I did do a little bit of testing once I received them. There is 60 colors in this set, which is so much. I have just crazy amounts of markers now. It comes with a little color sheet and then a swatch card, but I also pulled out a piece of my Archer and Olive notebook paper because I wanted to see what the colors looked like on my most used notebooks. So there is a slight difference from the actual swatch sheet just because the colors of the sheet and the paper that I use are a little bit different. This is a comparison to some other markers, one of the just Ohuhu journaling pens and then another brand. And I didn't see any paper pilling. For the other brand, it was after 5 strokes. For the Ohuhu journaling pens that my son has, I noticed some paper pilling at 4 layers of the marker. And then for these paper-friendly markers, I didn't notice any of the papers start to pill until I did 9 strokes over the same exact spot. I actually experienced ghosting and bleeding before paper damage, which is super interesting in my opinion. Moving right along, I have opened up my journal here and pulled out a set of like bow stickers. This is actually the bow stickers that I placed up in the top right-hand corner of my screen. These are bows that I drew, and I just submitted samples for a stamp set for these same bows as well. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into my uh, social media like growth trackers. But my theme for this setup is bows. I'm so in my bow era right now. I don't know where it came from or what, but I'm obsessed with drawing bows and I have been loving it. So I decided to make that the theme for my yearly collections bujo. So for this first page spread that I'm doing here, this is going to be my cover spread. And I wanted to do this as a whole spread because this is going to be a notebook that lasts over several years. I did 2024 in here, and I will be doing 2025 in here, obviously, and hopefully several more years as well. So I'm doing a full kind of spread to differentiate the years, essentially. So I'm doing a double broken border with curved edges, and that's going to be a repeated element through all of my pages. And then right now I am just doodling out a little bow. This one actually isn't on the stamps that I submitted, but it's really cute. So I'm doodling that out with a Pigma Micron in 01. I also have a Pigma Micron in 005 pulled out that I'm using for any super fine details that I have that I want to use for my images. And then I have my Tombow Fudonosuke brush pen. This is the soft tip brush pen for this marker set. And I'm just doing a calligraphy style font. And then I just have kind of, I don't even know what these numbers would be called font wise, but I do repeat any numbers that I do throughout this setup in that same style. And then all of my headers will be in this calligraphy style. I'm pulling out my swatches again just because I wanted to have similar colors for the dot markers that would match the actual like brush markers that I'm using. And I picked 2 pinks and 2 yellows. And the colors for both of these, the 2 pinks and the 2 yellows, they don't match perfectly, which I'm going to use to my advantage because I will use those colors to do either a little bit of shading or just get a little bit of variation as well in my images that I will be coloring. And then the little indents on my numbers, I'm also going to color those in as well. And then I will pull out a dust gray color. I'm going to use that dust gray color for all of my border lines, as well as adding additional grid throughout each of my kind of setups, or my pages, if you will. So that's what I'm doing right now, is adding some just broken grids, just to fill in a little bit more space. One thing that I did do off camera for this spread is I ended up beginning to add little doodled stars in some of the future pages that we'll do. I think I actually do it right on this next page. Um, and as I was doing my final flip through, I realized that I didn't put any stars or anything like that on this cover page. So I did go back in after I finished filming and I added a couple of stars to this cover page. And I haven't yet taken my actual photos to post to Instagram yet. So if you want to see what that looks like, definitely head over there and check it out and you'll see that there. I hadn't used any of the yellows just yet, so I'm adding some additional grids in just that little yellow color. So I'm doing these ones in like very minimally because this yellow is very strong. When I laid it down initially, I was like, whoa, that's a really highlighter like yellow. I don't know why I picked this. So, but since I had already used it, I just kind of went with it through all my spreads. I also have this washi tape from Wintertime Crafts. It's a grid washi tape, and I'm going to place that on either corner of my cover page. We are moving right along here. I'm going to be doing another Word of the Year spread for 2025. And this year, I'm actually planning to do a lot more stuff with my Word of the Year. I did sign up for the Ali Edwards like Word of the Year course, or one little word course thing. So I really want to kind of delve a little bit deeper into that. So if you want to see videos on that, let me know. I don't know yet if I'm going to be sharing any of those videos, but we'll see. If there's enough interest, then I'll definitely consider it. So I'm doing again that double broken rounded corner border. And I also have kind of a scalloped oval shape that I will be using to place my actual word of the year in, as well as the definition. And that's going to be on the right hand page. And then on the left hand page, I'm going to place a quote that contains my word of the year that I just really enjoyed. So, my word of the year for 2024 is going to be calm. I just want to feel more calm as like an individual and in my life, and I just want more calmness all around me. So that is why I chose that one for my word of the year. There is a little bit more that goes into it and stuff that I've thought about, and I've also been brainstorming in different ways that I can make changes in my life to actually really have this word shine for my year. So there's lots of stuff that I've been just considering and writing out and stuff behind the scenes. So yeah, I'm really excited for this word of the year. I also super, super love the way that this particular spread came out. I love this scalloped oval. I love the little bow that I have hanging off of it. And then I just love it. I don't think that there's much about this spread that I actually don't like. So I am just getting all of that sketched out. I did pre-sketch all of my spreads. You can probably see some of the pencil on the screen here. I did pre-sketch everything out. It takes me forever to do the pre-sketching, to be completely honest, like significantly longer than it takes me to actually film these videos. But I have in my, you know, my past in filming noticed that if I don't pre-sketch anything out, I mess up so much more often than if I were to take the extra time to pencil sketch where I want everything to go. And it's just so much more worth that extra effort for how much more I like my spreads. Because when I don't sketch everything out and then I make a bunch of mess ups, I always end up absolutely hating my end results. And then when I don't like my journal spreads, I don't use them. So it's just best case for all different aspects of my life if I just take the extra time to sketch out my spreads. So in that doily, not doily, but in that like scalloped oval that I've got, I did write out word of the year, and I wrote calm in that same calligraphy font, and then just the definition of the word calm. And then the quote that I chose said, "It's all about finding the calm in the chaos." And I think that was from like Donna Karen. I can't really see what I wrote on screen here. But that's pretty much the bones of this particular spread. And I'm going to go ahead and start coloring everything in. For the most part, I am going to be using a really light pink color for coloring most of my bows. And I really, really love this color that I picked. I'm super pleased with how like the actual marker lays the color down. And then I just really like the color as well. I used the yellow as kind of my border color for for the actual oval. And right now it looks really, really strong, but I'm also going to use this dust gray color to color in like the scallops, and I think it definitely tones down some of that yellow quite a bit. Before I start doing that though, I'm going to add a grid pattern to fill in that oval completely, and I'm using dashed lines, broken lines, stuff like that. And then I will notice a little bit later, and probably like a few minutes video time here, that I have a massive, just empty space above the word calm. So this is where I decide to start adding in those little stars. So I will hand doodle some just wonky little cute stars, as well as some little circles and then just dots for like sparkles and just extra decoration. Um, I've found myself really, really drawn to these style of stars when I see other YouTubers adding them to their bullet journals. I actually think that, at least right now in my life, I think I like them a lot more than most of the stars that I've drawn in the past, like the four-pointed stars. I think I like these just wonky regular stars a lot more than that. And I don't feel like they have to be so perfect because they're intentionally wonky. And that's always just a good time for me because it removes some of the stress. I did take the pink and the yellow and I highlighted the words that I did in just all caps. So the calm I highlighted in that pink color and chaos I highlighted in yellow. And then I'm just going to pull out that gray marker again and just add some additional grids around my quote as well. The last thing I believe before I start adding the sparkles, I'm going to add some washi tape. I'm going to use that grid washi tape. And then I also pulled out like a taupey colored washi tape that doesn't really match anything that I'm doing, but I think that it kind of blends well enough, so I'm sticking with it. I did flip back over to my cover page and add some of that taupey washi tape there as well. And then at the end of the video, you'll see I moved the washi tape that I placed at the top right-hand corner of the left page. I moved that all the way over to the right side. When I printed out these bow stickers, I do have like on that stamp set and the stickers that I made, this really, really tiny bow. So I decided to pull some of those off and use them as part of like my confetti sprinkles that I will be placing randomly throughout this setup. And I think it looks really good next to those stars. I'm very pleased with it. We are moving right along once again to the next page here. This is going to be a goals page on the left-hand side, and then the page on the right-hand side is going to be a wish list page. The wish list page isn't going to have too much like just done on it, just because that's essentially just going to be an ongoing list for the year. For the goals page, though, I did draw out my double border once again, I'm going to be doing that through this whole setup, so I'll probably stop repeating that on every page, maybe. Who knows? But anyways, I am drawing out that border again, and then I'm also splitting this section into 4 areas. I've got a couple dot grid spaces. I think it was 3 dot grid spaces for me to place a header, and then I've got everything else broken up into 3 equal uh, groups, and just numbered them 1 through 3. I haven't specifically decided how I want to do my goals for this year because it's been a very long time since I've set any kind of goals for myself because I don't usually follow through. But I'm thinking that if I've got my journal here and a reminder, because I'll flip back through because I actually really love the way that these 2 spreads came out, that I'm hoping that I will have a little bit more accountability just because they will be visually kind of readily accessible to remind me that they're there. I'm also planning to set really simple goals for myself this year. Whenever I decide what they're going to be, I'm thinking one of them will be like a personal goal, maybe a health goal, and then a professional goal. And then I'm just going to pick something small and potentially easily attainable for the year. That way, I have that rewarded aspect towards the end of the year that I actually accomplished the goals, and maybe it will promote me to actually set goals again for next year or 2026. For my wish list page, I actually erased the bow that I had sketched out next to my title and pulled out a mechanical pencil and just redrew a new bow in there. I just didn't end up liking that bow when I looked back at it, so I just erased it and drew a new one. And then I'm going to move on to adding my title. I think this is the first time that I'm doing my titles like this on these individual pages. This is a repeated title style that I'll also do throughout this setup. And I'm going to fill in behind the calligraphied letters and my kind of bow that I have next to it. I'm going to fill in that whole back area with that same grid pattern that I used in my word of the year oval. I won't be bringing in any more scalloped ovals in this particular spread just because that thing took forever. It took forever to sketch out. It took forever to fill in. It took forever to draw. And I really just wanted to give my word of the year like a place to shine. So I felt like while it did definitely match everything that I've got going on, it was not a repeated element that I wanted to have. But since I've got all of the same colors and same stylings and stuff like that, it does go well with my initial or my whole setup initially, essentially. Words. Oh, goodness. So I am just filling in those borders. I don't know if I've said this already or not, but I am going to be filling in all of the borders with that dust gray marker. And then I'm also using that same marker, like I said earlier, to do a grid behind my titles. I will add just a little bit more decoration to my wish list page. I felt like I really omitted a lot of yellow here. I colored my bow in again pink, and the bow that's going to be at the bottom of my wish list page next to my title, that's also going to end up being pink. And so I ended up needing to add just a little bit more yellow in here so it looked kind of cohesive with the rest of my spreads. You'll notice me throughout this setup where I will draw something out and then completely like ignore it for the next couple of minutes. And that's because I don't think Archer and Olive has said anything has changed about their notebooks, but I have noticed with newer notebooks, it takes a lot longer for my micron pens to fully dry and not smear than it did before. So I'm just trying to allow anything that I'm drawing out to have enough time to fully dry before I color it so I don't get any smearing. I pulled off my first sticker from my stickers that I have over on the right hand side there, and I placed it at the top right hand corner of the wish list page, and I colored that in yellow. We are done with that one, and we're moving on to my content pages. This is going to be a total of 3 spreads, so 6 pages essentially that I am going to be dedicating to content planning. I usually do, at least last year, I did 1 spread in my beginning of the year journal, 1 spread in my mid-year journal setup, and then I also in my mid-year journal setup did 2 extra of these for December daily and October daily. And I'm doing the same thing here, but since I will be using this for the whole year, I'm just adding in everything in one go, essentially. So I use an Alistair method to track my content creation and write down video ideas. So I will essentially just write down the idea that I have for a video. If it's one that I really know that I want to make, I'll write it down under the video section. And then on the right-hand side of my little chart that I've got, I have a plan icon, a film icon, the edit icon, and a cover photo icon, and then an upload icon. And then as I go through and I complete each step of the video making process, I will just check off each of the little icons under each section. And I have found for me personally that this works really, really well for maintaining and keeping track of the videos that I'm putting out, especially when I have an idea and I'm like, I definitely want to do that. Um, I just add it to this list instead of placing it in a separate list somewhere else for just video ideas. I will just put it right on this list. And then I will, when I come back in here and I'm like checking other things off, I'll see it repeatedly and either eventually make the video, or if I decide against it, like I thought it was a really good idea at the time and then ultimately don't want to do that anymore in a few months or something like that if I never get around to it. Instead of putting check boxes under my icons, I just draw a straight line all the way across. And I will be doing a 2024 bullet journal flip through. You'll see an example of that if you watch that video whenever I get that out. So I'm doing this page because I've got 4 of these charts here. I've got 2 spreads like this. I did it as a Dutch door spread where I'm just chopping off the top of the page. So that way I only have to do the decoration on the 2 pages instead of all 4 pages. I did 2 of these little Alistair calendar charts, whatever they're called, Alistair charts, off camera. And then I'm coming in and I'm starting all of my decoration process. I messed up a couple times here. Like the border that I have above my charts is really weird to me, so I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. I might go in and try and add some additional color or something to make the lines line up a little bit better and actually connect those lines. I think that would help too. I also grabbed a complete wrong marker, and I noticed about like right here, you'll see my hands kind of flop. That's when I noticed that I'm not using the right pink marker at all. So I had to kind of pivot and adjust what I was doing. I just finished doing every other line in that marker and then moved over to the chart that's on the right hand side, and I'm using the correct marker here. And what I ended up doing is that when I do my icon highlights, I'm actually going to flip them. And then I'll do the same thing on the second set of charts as well. So I feel like it looks a little bit more intentional doing it, that I had done it this way instead of just the other way. And I also kind of like how, since I did use the incorrect pink, it does break up and make it not so pink, or at least one shade of pink. So this ended up being a happy accident for me. I'm actually quite pleased with the way that these charts ended up looking. So yay. I added my content header with my brush pen, and then I'm just going in and adding all of those grid lines back in. And then I will start decorating with some of my bow stickers. So the reason I end up with these bow stickers, or I ended up with the bow stickers, I don't think I mentioned this, is that these bows were taking me forever to sketch. And I ended up drawing more bows on my iPad than I had actually sketched out in this setup. And I figured it might be easier for me, instead of continuing to sketch them out in pencil, to just print out the ones that I already drew on my iPad that I didn't already have sketched out. And that's what I did. And I'm quite pleased with how well the bows that I drew out, with my hands, my hand drawn bows, and the actual stickers that I created blend together. I feel like you can't really tell, like right off the bat, that there's stickers on the page as well as hand drawn stickers. And I just really enjoy the outcome of that. The next two pages that we are working on are, again, already pre-sketched because I did these two when I did my other, outlines and borders for my Alistair charts. These are going to be for October daily and December daily for 2025. I did change pretty much completely the colors that I was using for my every other line highlights on these two. I wanted to choose some colors that would be a little bit more seasonally specific. So for October daily, I chose a really, really light orange color. And then for December daily, I chose this really light green color. I'm not certain I really like this green because it feels a little bit more bright than I would have wanted. So let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. I could always go over it again with like a darker green, but I don't know. I might just leave it too. And then I just added a really tiny little bow, like icon sticker to the sides of each title. And that's really all I'm going to do on this page, aside from add some additional washi tape, just to kind of bring it in with the themes a little bit more than it is right now. So I'll just add a little bit of washi tape, and then we will move right along to the next two pages. The next two pages that we will be working on are going to be social media growth tracker pages. So I like to track my YouTube growth and my Instagram growth, not because I really pay attention so deeply to the numbers, but because I just really like to color things in. I as weird as it sounds, well, it's not weird, but like truthfully, like sometimes completely forget to even check this. But I do like to have things to color in, which is why I track a lot of like nonsensical things to color in my reading journal, because I like to just go in and color things. So for 2025, I am going to use a stamp set. So the stickers that you've seen me pull out and have been using throughout the setup, those designs are some of the designs that I submitted to the company that I work with for my stamp manufacturing. And I am in the process of waiting for samples of a stamp set for that. So once I get those samples in, I am going to come back to these two pages and I'm just going to stamp out a bunch of bows. And what I will do is, as I meet certain milestones on YouTube or Instagram, I'm going to pull out the yellow and the pink markers that I've selected for this setup, and I will come back to these two pages and just color those in. Since I don't have the stamps right now, these two pages are going to be really, really, really simple and empty because I don't have any of the growth trackers in here yet or any of the places that I will be marking off. So it looks very bare and there's no bows or anything like that because, like I said, I'm going to be filling this page with bows once I get that stamp set in, to A, test out the stamps, and B, just because I like it. But yeah, so I've got that in the works right now, and we should see that one probably come together a lot in sometime in January probably. And I'll post a picture on Instagram of how that looks. And then the final spread that we will be doing for today is going to be my 52 things spread. Last year, I did 101 things to do in 2024. And honestly, I didn't even think of 101 things to add to that list. So I wanted to do that again this year because I did like going in and adding dates and checking things off. But I didn't want to try and force myself to think of so many things. So what I am going to do is a 52 things because there are 52 weeks in the year. And I figure that might be a little bit more attainable. First of all, process wise to think of things to put on this list. And second of all, to actually complete them because it would realistically only be one thing to do each week. So I am doing all of the exact same things, the same borders. I'm only using stickers for my bows in this one because I very last minute sketched this one out and I did not want to sketch out bows. So I just left it and I knew I already had the stickers out. So that's what I'm doing. I printed my stickers on just plain matte sticker paper so that I would be able to easily color them in. I don't believe that I mentioned that earlier. I use online labels like matte sticker paper. It's the same sticker paper that I use for my star ratings for my book journaling. So I figured I could use that paper and then be able to color in the bows so that everything would really match my actual spreads. And I think it worked out quite perfectly. I am looking to pull out another color that I've not used yet, just because with this sticker paper, I didn't want the ink from my printer to start bleeding really badly. So I didn't want to go over the layers. And there's some ruffles on this top right bow that I really like coloring in a different color. I think it really adds some character to the bow. So I just pulled out like a much darker pink. That way I would only have to go over these little ruffles the one time and then that bow would essentially be done. I'm going to pull back out my initial pink marker and just add a little bit of shadows. But other than that, these two bows are pretty much done and I love them. They're so cute. And these two bows are going to be on that stamp set. So yay, I can't wait to get it in to try it out. And then I used my same numbering that I've been doing throughout the setup and I just highlighted that one in the yellow color. I colored it in the yellow color instead of the pink this time because the bows are very, very pink. And then I'm going to work on just decorating fully that actual border and then the whole kind of header area as well. So I'm using that same dust gray color to color in my borders and then I will add a grid. I did add some stars and sparkles around each of the bows just because I felt like there was enough empty space around the bows and I wanted to fill it in. I will put my grid in there as well, and then we will pull out some washi tape to add just a little bit of washi tape to finish this page off. I'm going to realize right here that I didn't actually cross my T for the word thing, so I'm going to fix that real quick, and then I will finish doing my grid lines. And then I am going to do a couple more things on this actual page itself before we move into the final flip through. I'm going to pull out my Pigma Micron in the 01. I'm going to add another kind of little row header where I will write number for the number that I am completing, a thing, I'm just going to write thing for me to put down the thing that I want to do, and then date for me to mark the date that I completed the thing. So I'm adding that in there, and then I will use the dot markers in both the yellow and the pink. I'm going to alternate those and just add a dot under where my number section is going to be. So I will go in probably off camera, absolutely off camera because I didn't do it in this video, but I will go in and I will actually number 1 through 52. I definitely have more than 52 things on here. But I just wanted to fill in the dots all the way down because it looked weird that I just stopped in the middle. So that's what I did. And then we will pull out that washi tape and get a little bit of washi tape added, and then flip into the final flip throw. I do only add that washi tape to the right hand side of the spread. The left hand side was a little bit too busy for that, and I didn't want to go over any of the actual dots. So we will just add it to the right hand side, and then that's it. This is going to be my 2025 yearly collections Bujo setup. I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. I would also love to know what you think about these little bows. I think they're so cute. They are my favorite. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.